Mention that, man. It's been months since you brought that up.
Yeah, there's also one that like had to do with like uh just like
My
electronic.
man does this
Yeah.
with no words, and then this with no words.
Like
Say
I
no,
don't
say
remember
no
exactly.
more, fam.
Lion in the jungle, lion in the concrete jungle, lion in the jungle, lion in the concrete jungle.
I live in the numbers a little bit and like
You're a big numbers guy,
yeah, that's just like my language, you know.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not for everything, but um I don't know, that's
I think that
Whatever.
I'm kind of like that also,
yeah, I think you are
like statistics and
like analytical.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it would be interesting for you to take that Tony Robbins test because
Yeah, I should.
it said because you know you answer in your professional, like
From a professional,
yeah, not like when
perspective.
you're at home, your opinions about
Gotcha.
certain things are different, you know.
Sure.
And it's not like any of those usual tests that I've taken where it's just very like particular and random questions.
But you said it's accurate. You feel like
Yeah,
it's,
for me it was accurate. For Montana it was accurate, and so it's just questions of you got four things. What do you most like, and what do you least like?
oh,
And you
okay.
just click
That's
that.
how
So
you
it'll be
answer.
like, outgoing or organized. And through that, they have like a whole algorithm. And then you put, so the last couple questions, they ask you, like rank these things of importance from most to least. And they'll put like 10 things. And so, like, it's just a bunch of different questions like that. But
I
it's,
wonder how like revolutionary this algorithm really is. Then, if you're pretty much telling them everything about yourself,
yeah.
what are your preferences? I mean, you could gather a lot from somebody. I
Oh
suppose.
yeah, and that's what it is, and they have like a full detailed report about maybe ways that like you'll handle a pressured situation, and
Yeah.
like it's just a bunch of different things. Yeah, I think you would think it was pretty cool because
Spit-
I'm like you in a lot of ways, is just like skeptical hippo eyes about everything, especially when they're trying to like say something about me, because I feel like I hate being put in a box
Sure.
of like you're this, so now you're this, because I feel
Yeah.
different, and they put that in there of like you do everything by the book, but like you wrote the book,
Oh, okay.
and like shit like that, just like little small things, but it's really interesting.
It's interesting. Tony Robbins. It's a big guy.
Yeah.
Speaking of Tony Robbins, I don't know. Do we ever talk about the McGregor thing?
No, it just
Him coming
was
back?
last Saturday.
But Tony Robbins was in the ring with McGregor. Yeah.
Yeah, did you ever listen to the podcast that he was on, Tony Robbins?
Nah.
Uh,
Connor was.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
a couple months back. Yeah, it seems like they're working on like a type of relationship where he's working with them on just like a more positive mindset, and
Oh, is that right? I see.
Yeah.
That's smart. That's smart.
yeah, I mean of
Connor.
all the people, like
Yeah,
that's one of the dudes
that's true.
to go to.
Like
Like
work
there's
wonders for Shallow Hal.
he needs to go.
100%.
Yeah, that whole movie was just based off like if you rhyme, you can have witchcraft, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was.
Yeah, I thought that's what
Yeah.
it was.
Had a fat guy in it.
I've never been like a huge fan of Jack Black, but he was pretty funny in that.
I like Jack Black. He's a beast in Tropic Thunder.
Oh fuck yeah!
I like Kung Fu
They're
Panda
all
too. Which is,
they're all beast in Tropic Thunder. Robert Downey Jr. was on Joe's podcast,
yeah, I saw that.
and
That's crazy.
he's like super intellectual dude. But they talked about like he's like, do you think you could make that movie now? Because he's blackface.
Right. That's hilarious, isn't it?
Yeah, and like he just did such a good job with it. But the reason that you could do that is because like they're making fun of Hollywood actors, you know? So even the stuff like they're using, I mean, the word retard,
Yeah.
like they're using that, and he's like, you can never go full retard.
Yeah.
Like
Sean Penn, I Am Sam.
yeah, and if you did that today, like words like that are like taboo.
Inflammatory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but that is funny, and that's actually a good point. Although it's a comical thing that Joe brought up, but I mean, Tropic Thunder wasn't all that long ago, and
Yeah,
how
it's
much
like
the landscape has changed.
and
And
so
it's,
quickly. And it's like they talk about with technology how, it doesn't stay at the same pace. Like it skyrockets up.
yeah,
And it's kind of like all this PC stuff has done like that similar path of like, probably from the 70s to the 90s when it came to censorship or something. It probably only, went just a little bit, but now,
Right.
that movie was what, 10 years ago?
yeah, something
And
like that.
yeah, it's completely different.
Yep. No, that's actually a good point
Yeah.
to look at the comparison between the acceleration in technology and also the acceleration in PC culture. It's true. You got people like Dave Chappelle on the front lines, though, trying to combat it.
That's
My
awesome.
man just won the Mark Twain Award. I don't think that we've talked about that either. And it's so cool to watch that. And obviously, you and I both feel the same way about him. Like, I don't know. I view him as the GOAT.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's garnered such respect amongst, his
Even
peers.
if he's not the funniest, he's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Timing, everything, just the way that it works a crowd. All of the current comedians that he's influenced. But speaking of, so I thought it was really cool to see all of the different people get up on stage at the Mark Twain ceremony
Yeah.
and just show Dave respect, man. It was really cool.
I only saw Neil Brennan, his co-writer for the
That's the
Chappelle
only one
show.
you saw? That was
Yeah.
the coolest one, though.
And I've watched a bunch of interviews with Neil Brennan. He's a comedian. He's been on like Joe's podcast, Theo's, The Fighter and the Kid.
Yeah.
He's a dude. He's a really interesting dude who's dealt with depression his whole life, and he's been on different antidepressants.
Is that
and
right?
like some of them have worked for a certain period of time. Some of them wear off. Some of them haven't worked at all. He's done like I don't know if I think we've talked about it before, but they had like supervised ketamine treatments that they're using to try to combat some
Yeah, you
depression.
did mention that, man. It's been months since you brought that up.
Yeah, there's also one that like had to do with like just like
My
electronic.
man does this
Yeah.
with no words, and then this with no words.
Like
Say
I
no-
don't
say
remember
no more,
exactly.
fam.
I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something about like electric shock or something to
Sure.
parts of your brain to
Some kind of
try to
neuros-
combat this basically illness.
That he's been through?
Yeah, that he's been through.
Damn.
Yeah, he's struggled with it like a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And it's really cool that those two were able to link up. I wasn't aware that he was part of what is it, Half Baked?
Half-Baked,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's so funny.
yeah. You heard what he said? How they were like, Chappelle told him, he's like, all right, if they ask you, we're writing a movie together.
Yep.
Um,
And
Yeah,
then
it's-
like a month later, it's like, dude, we really got to knock this movie out. He's like, what movie? That's so funny.
yeah, and at first it flopped, but
Yeah.
now it's like a little cult classic.
Yeah. Only due to the fact, the kind of success that Dave Chappelle was able to
Yeah,
garner in his career.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I ever saw him was on what the hell was the Eddie Murphy movie where he was like really fat? The Clumps.
Oh God. Oh, that's so bad. We don't.
Yeah, how do we not
both
know
don't
that?
remember this on screen. Yeah, it's Clumps or something, but
Yeah.
the Nutty Professor.
Oh, Nutty Professor.
Holla at your boy.
And that was the first time I ever saw Dave Chappelle. He had like a little comedy set.
Oh man, he had the
Yeah,
hair.
with
That's
the-
so great, dude.
Dude,
I
that
forgot
shit was
about
hilarious.
that.
That was the first time I ever saw him.
He was tearing fucking
yeah.
Nutty Professor up, boy.
Yeah, for real.
That's so great.
That's a funny movie, bro.
That's so funny. Every time I think about that movie, or anytime I hear the one song, it always makes me think about that movie.
Buddy
It's
Love.
Friday night,
Oh yeah.
and I feel all right. Every time. It's a dope song.
They were talking about that song on The Fighter and the Kid one day. They're like, what the hell? He's like, my favorite part of the song, he's like, oh, the gangbangers forgot about the drive-bys. He's like, they didn't forget about the drive-bys. Like, just cause it's Friday, like,
Right.
come on. The way he put it was fucking hilarious.
It was 3 days ago. I never listened to that song in its entirety. I've probably never even heard those lyrics.
It's a great song. Yeah, that's crazy. That's such like a big song.
Yeah.
There's another song that for some reason every time I hear that song, I think of it. They're like two and two together. You ever heard Return of the Mac? by Mark Morrison.
Maybe if I
Return of the Mac Daddy, Return
Yeah.
of. Like, you ever saw the show Entourage? I know we're like
No.
super random right
No,
now.
I've never seen Entourage.
But that's a great show. That's probably like in my top 3 shows. But there's a scene at the beginning of the season because he was like some actor, like really rich actor,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a drone shot. He's like on an island around like bunch of like naked girls, and they're playing that song, and it's like
Return of the Mac.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like a party song. Me and Glenn, like that was like our song, like our go-to song whenever we wanted to like.
That should have been the
Get
shit
hyped
McGregor
up.
came out to.
Yeah, that shit.
That's
was
what he
dope.
should have came out to this most recent fight.
Yeah, that fight was crazy, bro. Like watching it back in slow motion, it was just flawless. Like the way he started,
Some of the most vicious shoulders ever thrown in mixed martial arts.
the way he, but then the way they got out of that clinch was like the knee to the head. I don't know if you saw after that, and that's when he went back,
Set up the kick.
blocked that kick, hit him with that kick, and you know, just you see it in his face, just so calm, like.
Yeah. It's crazy. I've been on a big McGregor tear recently, watching through a bunch of different YouTube videos and stuff.
Yeah.
There's actually one channel, I'll give them a shout out. It's called MMA On Point. I don't know if you've ever heard of them or
No.
not. They've got they're pumping out content, dude.
Yeah.
Serious, high quality content. You should check them out. But they got a lot of stuff on McGregor, and it's just really like cool and inspirational to go back and watch his journey. Notorious on Netflix and all of that.
Yeah, and it just comes from like an inner belief. Like he just posted a picture yesterday of him with Lorenzo Fertitta, the former owner of the UFC, 6 years ago. And it's just Connor like in some headphones with like a regular t-shirt on.
Yeah. Buzzed head, right?
Yeah, buzzed head. And, you know, in 6 years,
What is it?
where you could go to other countries and say the name, like everyone knows who he is in, you know, in 6 years.
True.
Accomplishing like that stuff and taking the risk that he's taken,
Yeah.
super inspirational, man.
Yeah. Took the whole game by storm. It's really cool. Hey guys, real quick, want to let you guys know, them Stop the Shit boys. We have actually finally secured our first sponsor, man. This dope backpack company out of Singapore. That's right, out of Singapore.
MUZMM backpacks.
So what's actually dope about these is they have these versatility backpacks where it's essentially 3-in-1, right?
You got that backpack.
Then I've got a suitcase style where you got a handle here or you got a handle up top. And additionally, whenever you're making gains in the gym, you got the strap on the back. The link is in the description down below. Make sure that you use the coupon code STOPTHESHIP at checkout, man.
All one word.
All one word, no spaces in that thing. All proceeds are gonna go back into the podcast. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna get 20% off. I don't know if I said that.
No, yeah, that's big.
Did I say that?
And trust me, people, it's good quality stuff. This is stuff that we transport all our equipment in. I'm on a plane every single week. Hopefully I don't catch that corona.
Very true.
MUZMM, we're going to put the description down in the bio. It's a product that we're happy to partner with, we believe in. And if you want some of these bags, they got all cool designs. Check it out in the link below.
20% off, Stop the Ship coupon code.
Lion in the concrete jam. Lion in the jungle. Lion in the concrete jungle.
I always find it so interesting, and this is like, it's funny, we have recurring themes throughout the podcast, so we keep, like, I find full circle moments where we circle back to things, but
Yeah.
just one of the first episodes we were talking about, I don't remember who we were talking about at that point in time, maybe it was J. Cole, but how these influential people, they're people just like us, but they just happen to be famous and so fucking good at a craft that, you know, it becomes bigger than the craft that they're performing. It's
Yeah.
like now they're able to inspire you in such a way as to, you know, make personal progress within your own life. Like to see McGregor do so well in the fight game, but to take risks like you said, and you know, I mean, he's just like us. He just happens to be incredibly gifted at a particular thing.
And not only gifted, like, I don't know if you've ever seen this quote that he has. He's like, fuck talent. He's like, talent doesn't live here. This is hard work. Like, and you see it from like the greats in the world, like, you know, R.I.P. Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, man.
That Mamba mentality. But everyone talks about how, like, you know, people always say it, like, first in the gym, last out.
Right.
But people talked about that with him for years. As long as I've been following basketball, like, that's the narrative around him. And, like, you know, talent Yeah, he was super talented, but he just had this work ethic that, like, when you match that alongside talent, you just progress outside of your peers like
Yeah.
so much more.
Yeah, 100%.
That
Yep, hard
that
work.
talent only gets you so far. You know, that hard work is it's probably even more important than talent. You know.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah, I would agree.
So yeah, we just got to take these lessons of the people that have accomplished great things and you know, just adopt them in our mindset. And I know that we do that, but it's just about, like, you know, keep going, keep holding each other accountable, keep fucking, you know, you're bringing out all the, like, new content that you're working on for Nurse
Right.
Bass, and you know, it's just inspiring. You know, just little shit like that. And, you know, you guys will probably already see it, but that shit looks dope, man.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah. Yeah, it's like one of the things that Connor said in his post fight presser that really stuck with me, which you've heard it before, and it's the simplest advice that you could ever receive. But he's like, you just take a look at the things that you know you need to do, and you just fucking do it.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's as simple as that, and it's a lot easier said than done. But at the end of the day, if you do what you know that you need to do, like, everything's going to take care of itself.
Yeah.
And so I took a good bit of inspiration from that, and I've been trying to apply that in my life over this last week or two. And yeah, like, I know I need to get on this grind. I know I need to put out this content. So now I'm pushing educational content, put out a video or two, and now I'm working on this imagery. I'm, like, trying to go on the diet thing. I've been working out for the last 2 weeks, like, losing a little bit of weight. So it's like,
you look
shout out to
good.
Connor.
That's great. I'm glad that you have taken that, like, and used it for what it's there for. Like, he's said in interviews before, like, yeah, like, a lot of people will look at me and, like, put negative thoughts on me of, like, he thinks he's this, he thinks he's that. He's like,
Right.
but the ones that, like, look up to me and believe in me and follow me, they will take, like,
They'll take benefit.
they
yeah.
will take great benefit from all this. And he's like, that's why I do it. That's why it means so much to him to, like, win. And he says, like, he does it for his fans, because the people that are his fans, like, you do draw inspiration from that. Like, you do, because he's built up to be this mystical person,
Right.
like this magical person that does all these things, but he's not, you know?
Yep.
Like, you know,
But
so
at the same time, he is.
yeah, he is. But it's just,
interesting.
I'm glad, I knew from, like, the very beginning that you could draw, like, a crazy amount of inspiration from the dude. So I'm glad you've, like, fucking gotten in there and understood that, like, yeah, of course he's a hype train, and this, like, he's one of the greatest promoters in the world.
Right.
But there's a method to his madness, and, like, he's a really smart dude.
Yeah. Yeah, rewatching Notorious again recently really kind of reinstilled a thought in my mind. Like, yeah, all of the hype, all of the promotion to get fights and everything is one thing, but at the end of the day, like, just seeing the footage of him just putting in the work was really cool.
Yeah, and that's where it all starts, is like, you know, like, even for instance, like, these episodes, like, people see an episode after it's polished up and it's been edited, and like, you know, we've talked through, like, everything, but you know, this started on the groundwork, and me and you going back and forth of, like, trying to design shit and making
Right.
the set look a certain way,
Right.
and what we wanted to call it, what we wanted to talk about, and that kind of stuff, like, people don't always get to see, but
Yeah.
you know, that's where everything is created. It's not in this
Right.
40-minute video that we put up.
Yeah. Yeah, this right here is just the tip of the iceberg that you end up seeing at the end. It's the polished result.
Which would be so cool to, you know, he just documented that stuff, Connor. Just
Brilliant.
knowing that one day that it would be really important. And not only would it be really important, like, you know, he put it on Netflix. Like, it's a huge documentary now. And, you know, some of those early videos was before he was ever even in the UFC.
Yep. Yep.
That's why it would
awesome.
be cool to have somebody to record some of this shit too. So we'll work on that.
Yeah.
We got to just start knocking people out
Yeah, right.
and just make them intimidated.
Start making headlines.
Yeah.
Shaking up the podcast world. The Stop the Ship boys stormed the fighter and the kid.
Oh shit, we should, bro. Brendan
Brendan
Schaub.
Schaub ain't got it like he used to. The redhead from the Midwest putting a pounding on him. Something else. So like, along with trying to be aware that I need to be more focused on my educational content and putting out imagery and working out and stuff like that. I sent you photos of the new knives I got and of the new cast iron I got. So, along with trying to do dieting, I'm trying to cook more and stop eating out and whatnot. But more so, like how you're always talking about doing self-reflection and being more analytical and looking at yourself and habits and tendencies and questioning. One of the things that I'm now trying to do moving forward, which I think is just going to help me in all aspects of my life, is trying to do small things to cultivate discipline within myself. So with these new knives, all the knives I've ever gotten in my life, I've always put in the dishwasher. They've always turned to rust. They've always turned to shit. And with cast iron pans and pots, you have to take good care of them, as I've mentioned before the podcast. So like now trying to make it a point to hand wash everything when I'm done.
Yeah.
Hand dry it when I'm done. Put it up where it's supposed to go, like the small shit, almost like
it's those small little details and discipline. No, it's such a great point. That's how you build that.
And especially doing it when nobody's looking, like doing it behind closed doors.
You ever heard that speech by some military veteran about making your bed every morning?
I think I saw a post about it, but not the video.
And it was just about how like that's the catalyst to your whole day. And like it's just like what you're saying. It's just that little small detail.
But that's brilliant.
And that discipline. You should watch it. I'm gonna send it to you.
I agree with that. Yeah. 100%.
And he just talked about how it bled over into everything about his life.
Yep.
Just no matter what, making your bed in the morning. And it's no, that's a really good point. I want to think about that too. Is like that building a discipline, because you don't just change overnight.
Right.
Like in anything. And it's always like we talk about making those small goals, accomplishing them, like setting bigger goals or making a to list.
Right.
I never know how to say it, but that's a good point. I'm gonna ponder.
It's one of the things that I've noticed in my own life is that although from an outside looking in, like people might look at me like, oh, he's got his shit together, or he's running a business, a successful thing. But I have things in my own life that I'm just not disciplined on. Yeah. Just like point blank. Like if I were disciplined, if I were the guy that I wanted to be, it's like purely disciplined and in the zone and everything, like I wouldn't be overweight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have that. Like I wouldn't have a lot of these bad habits. So really just trying to focus on small things that a normal human being doesn't really usually have any issues with, and trying to get more disciplined in the small things.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's real important for me right now in this journey.
And I really think that like physical health has a lot to do with mental health.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think you doing that and taking care of those things and starting to implement that into your everyday life and being more of a lifestyle, it's only going to benefit like everything, like your professional career, like your being an entrepreneur, your relationship, everything.
Right.
Like it bleeds into everything.
For sure.
So that's great, man. That's great to hear. I'm proud of you that you're working on that shit.
I'm excited. Yeah.
And like I didn't even notice, but just seeing you today, you seem more like lively. You seem more.
Think so?
I think so. Yeah. It could be the haircut, but and the jacket. I like that jacket.
Appreciate that. Shout out to Big Leg, my stylist.
Like thinking about him, like, all right, this is what you're gonna wear today.
Yeah. Like this doesn't quite go with that. Let's try the other thing.
And like at the end of everything, it's always like, and finish it off with the Panthers hat.
And finishes you off with the slap on the back.
Yeah, but like he wants you to wear the Panthers hat with every single outfit. You're like, all right, I dig everything else, but I'm gonna put the Panthers hat.
Yeah, come on, Big. It's the third day in a row I'm wearing the same Panthers hat. This is GQ we're shooting for today, Pig.
Fucking.
They're not Carolina fans.
That's good, man. I think. Yeah, and I think the more you're open about the aspects of your life that you do lack discipline, it'll just make people realize you're more human. Because I do think that is the thought of like, look at Brad, like all that he does, because you do a lot, you know. And I think, and I know a lot of people look up to you. So, to know that you're struggling with those same things that everybody struggles with, like it just helps them even more.
Yeah.
Like in nursing school and like going through all that, because people's problems don't stop there of just like, oh, I'm in nursing school, or I'm
Right.
you know, in whatever school. They also have like, you know, all the
Lives at
shit that
home and-
all that shit.
Yeah.
So that's dope, man.
Yeah. Well, and I was getting a little bit of it from you. Well, I've been getting a lot of it from you, obviously, since we started this whole journey with stopping the ship and what it's supposed to mean and everything. But just more so over these last like 2 or 3 episodes. I got to stop doing this shit. Over these last 2 or 3 episodes, you know, you kind of talking about moving into 2020, how you want this to be more of a journey of expression.
Yeah.
You know, how you bottled everything up. You never
Yeah.
felt like you could, you know, all these things. So I think I'm going to try and trek down that same path, man.
That's great, bro. I love how we like influence each other. Like you'll talk about one thing and I'll be like, fuck yeah, I got to start like thinking about it like that. And then I'll talk about something else and you'll take that same
Yeah.
thing, and that's that like
Steel sharpens steel, man. Yeah, the whole thing. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. Those are the kind of people you want to surround yourself with, man. People that are going to build you up, that you're going to be able to take benefit from or learn something from.
Yeah.
You don't want to be hanging around with people who, one, there's nothing that you can learn from, or two, they're giving you the wrong shit, you know, bad habits.
You know what's really important too is, and we probably talked about it before, but all successful people have like mentors, people who they like look up to for guidance, and they listen to what they have to say. And a mentor doesn't have to be somebody who's older than you or somebody more successful than you, like somebody who just is imparting like positive outlooks and just a different way of thinking about things, and being open to that. That's everything. Like,
yeah, being open to having a mentor, being open and receptive to perspectives. Yeah, for sure.
That closed-mindedness, man, like
it halters growth. You won't grow.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, we've said before, anytime you get that like defensiveness towards something, or you're so passionate about something, like question it, because you could be right.
It's like, hold on,
but just look into it.
Why am I so strongly convicted about this?
And dude, I go through it all the time. Like I talk to Montana about it. I'm the least defensive, most defensive person you'll ever meet.
The least offensive, most
No, both defensive. Like I'm the least defensive person and also the most defensive person. And it all depends on where my mood is at. If I'm open and receptive, or if I'm closed off and being like, no.
Yeah,
like
you're on one end of the spectrum or the other.
And the only reason I'm able to open up is because I'll take that step back from Shane, view my situation, and then I'm open to it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's about trying to take that back step, trying to take that drone view of yourself and your surroundings to navigate those right or wrong choices a little bit better.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting perspective. Something I've been thinking about a lot lately, you know, being more introspective and in my own mind. I've been thinking a lot more lately and noticing things about myself and the way that I act around different people. Like at work, people are getting one of the best sides of me.
Yeah.
You know, they're getting a side of me where it's super kind, caring, attentive, just passionate. I'm there to be helpful. I'm just there to be a caregiver.
Yeah.
Like my relationship with my wife, with Ashley, I've noticed, especially over like the last 2 weeks, she gets more of my raw side, like my almost like my arrogant side. Like we're all multifaceted, right? We're all extremely intricate and all have different parts of our personality.
Especially in different environments.
Especially in different environments around different people. Like her, I'm not afraid to be expressive about my intellect and like things like that. And it gets to a point, I know in her mind, she's got to be thinking like, dude, this guy is cocky as hell. And she told me sometimes about me being big-headed, but it's just because it's like, babe, I'm not like this all the time.
Yeah.
You just happen to get more of me.
Yeah.
In that sense. Like you, because we get to hang out physically now, like whenever we were distanced, although we were still close and we've always been best friends, the pure distance part, we didn't see each other all the time. But now I feel like because we see each other all the time and obviously our history, you probably get like one of the best sides of me in the sense of, you know, like the kinds of things that I open up and we talk about, like, as you and I have talked personally, like nobody really ever gets that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So it's just real cool how it's just one of the things that I've noticed about myself. And more to that point, not just accepting the data that I have in front of me, but now I think what I want to do is I want to try and work on that.
Fuck yeah.
I don't think that I I think specifically I don't like that Ashley gets the arrogant side of me because, on one hand, it's like, yeah, this is the intellectual side of me, but that arrogance also has negative side effects.
Yeah.
There's negative components to that personality type that I have
Yeah.
that then negatively affect her and I's relationship.
Yeah.
Like if I could give her more of this and what I give the people at work, then just a more well-rounded
Yeah.
picture of who I am as opposed to one component.
That's great,
It's
man.
weird though. I don't know why I'm like that or how that came to be.
It's not that weird because I think in everyone's life that's a thing. So they either just don't take notice of that, and throughout their entire life they'll have that difference of who they are in different environments. But you're on this journey now to question that and to be like, well, why? Especially if it has negative benefits to the ones that you care about the most.
Right.
And I go through that same shit too. And in certain relationships you get like comfortable with certain things and certain behaviors in yourself that probably go unnoticed if you don't start to question it. And at the end of the day, you do question it not only for yourself but because you love these people.
Right. True.
And no, that's great, man. That's the beginning of the journey, and that's it's inspiring in its own way too, because you're gonna find those answers, like of why it's like that and why it's different in some aspects. It will, man. I know you. I know who you are. That those things will come. Just keep going into that. Like I've said to you that I think this relationship, that's like my purpose. Like for me and you is to like pull that out of you. I think that's why I get that certain Brad, is because I know like where to go in order to pull that Brad out.
Yeah. Right.
And I also know he's there because whether we speak about it or not, we come from similar places. So even if you don't address it, I know he's down there.
Right.
In the sunken place.
Yeah, I give him a little food and water every now and then. Just enough to keep the motherfucker there.
That's really how it is, man. That's really how it is. And that's great, man. Like,
and who do I feed more? That Brad in the sunken place or myself?
And I'm sure at different times it's different.
Yeah. That's the old two wolves.
Yeah, like
thing.
from an outside perspective when you've been more in the sunken place and when you haven't been.
Yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully it seems like through our conversations and your transparency that you're more in that, like, you're not in tunnel vision mode, You're okay to start questioning these things and wondering why. And you'll go back there. Like, you'll go back to the sunken place, like we all will.
Right.
But it's about building that tool belt so next time you're not there for 6 months. You're only there for a month.
Yeah,
You're only there for 2 weeks. You're only there for a day.
How do you get to the point where like the shit just don't faze you anymore at all? Like your dog of 12 years just dies. Like, that's what it is.
I don't know if it's possible.
I know.
Like,
you get so good and self-analytical at things that you then develop into a psychopath where you don't feel emotion anymore.
It could happen.
It's like, hey, you've achieved.
But it's that balance of like
Super
everything
Saiyan
that we always talk about is like you gotta know what's going on and what kind of loop you're on. Not just because you know doesn't mean you're always gonna back out of it. But it's the importance of knowing that you're in it is really valuable.
The awareness, yeah.
Yeah. So you want to try to fix it and polish it, but it'll never be 100%. You'll never be perfect. So it's that balance of like one to fix it, trying to fix it, but also shaking hands with who you are.
True.
And
who said that shit?
Crystalia.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's
true.
That's a huge part of it.
Yeah. No, that's true. I like that shit. Shaking hands with who you are.
Me too.
I mean, it's true. It's accepting you for you, being okay with yourself.
Yeah.
So many of us aren't. The majority of us aren't, I would say. We all have things that we want to fix about ourselves.
Yeah.
But that's true. Look your fucking self dead in the eyes and shake hands with yourself. That's what's up.
Fuck yeah, bro.
I like that. Of course, that doesn't mean being content with who you are. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, just understanding, like,
Understanding you still got some work to do, but
not hating yourself
yeah.
for it, you know?
Yeah. For your flaws or your shortcomings. Those are the things, I don't know, like characteristic flaws or personality things. I've found historically, like through people that I've met in my life, cross paths with, those are some of the things that I enjoy the most. I've been able to relate and connect with flawed individuals more than, you know, people who seem like they have their lives are great or they've got all their shit together just because of where we come from. And, you know, that makes sense. But no, those are the things that I've been gravitated to the most throughout my life. Just those blemishes on individuals that make them human. It's like, okay, they're kind of relatable. Like their life's not perfect. I can understand a little bit.
And I think the majority of people are like that.
Yeah,
and I think
too.
that's where the value in podcasting is. Because
Oh,
they
that's
get
true.
to find out, oh shit, Brad has those chinks too.
You know, that's a great point, actually. That is one of the beauties about podcasting in particular is because you do have, although we do, edit, you know, Peg edits it up and polishes it up a little bit, but still for the most part, you get the raw emotion or the raw thought. Whereas like with YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, as we've mentioned before, everything's looked at through a filter.
Yeah.
It's presented to the end consumer through a filter. And so, yeah, that is one of the beauties of this.
Yeah, that's the ultimate beauty of it, because that's what I've seeked my whole life too, is like people with those blemishes and stuff, like not destructive people,
Sure.
but people who have overcome like things. You know,
Ted
that's
Kaczynski, that's a real explosive guy there. I like that guy. I wish you knew who
fucking.
that was.
But yeah, that's where the value in podcasting is you know, just and. You know, I don't know if you were similar to me growing up, but I would look at people and think like, fuck, like they have like everything. Like
All the
their
time.
life is, yeah.
All the time.
And it's just not real. Like just because you know, when I was younger, if people had money, I thought like everything was okay with them.
Right.
And, you know, growing up and meeting people that do come from money and stuff, realizing that like, you know, they have just as hard lives, sometimes even harder,
Sure.
you know?
Sure.
So I just think that's important to be aware of. And that's what this shit is all about.
Yeah. Yep.
And we gonna keep being open, keep being vulnerable, and fucking ride this shit out together, man.
Yeah.
Because if you compare and contrast like our first 2 episodes or something to the shit that we're talking about now, it's like, you know, even for me, it was hard to open up as much, but I know for you too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And,
for
you know,
sure.
you still got a long way to go. I still got a long way to go, you know? But that's what this new journey is about, just opening up and not being afraid of people seeing our true selves, which is a lot of what everybody builds this armor, you know, and they want to be looked at as a certain way. You know, you are two people. You are who you are, and you are who people see you as. And a lot of times those two things can be different.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of really talented, successful people, they even open up about how they feel like frauds, you know? And I've felt like that plenty of times in my life, to where I feel like I'm in a situation where maybe I'm not qualified to be there. But, you know, lots of times that's just in your head.
Right.
But yeah, bro.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm excited on the path that we're on, where I'm headed, where we're both headed.
Me too. I mean, you know, just knowing you from a different perspective than probably a lot of the listeners is just like, you have a lot of things polished about you or whatever. And I think what we're talking about is like your next journey of like what will make you that complete Brad, you know, because a lot of the really tough things that you've been through, even though a lot of your life was tough, like a lot of them are fairly recent, you know, so it's it'd be stupid to think that like you're completely over those things and through it, you know?
Right.
So I think these next couple of years is going to be like unpacking all that shit. And it's going to be like,
Yeah.
you know, some up and down shit, but, you know, you got a good support system. You got like, you're in a great situation. You know what I'm saying? So I look forward to all that shit.
Yeah. I'm having like Mystic Mac moments, like like where I'm envisioning and seeing what like the next 5 years looks like, and it's all
cool,
bright
man.
shit, man. Like as
Yeah.
long as nothing, you know, catastrophic happens, and I'm here to see it, it's all gonna be good shit, man. It's all gonna be good. Starts up here. They say the fish rots from the head down, so don't let that shit rot. It all starts up here, and everything else follows.
So fucking, no, that's great. Like that you're putting some focus on your health and stuff, cause
It was looking real worried for you there for a while there.
I'm
but-
sure you're similar to me, to where like maybe you don't speak it, but there's got to be some type of paranoia in there.
Always.
About like
Always.
and it's probably only ever in there, you know. And that creates things, and like we've always talked about, it puts it into things that have nothing to do with your thoughts about your health. Like it's that paranoia can bleed over into, you know, things that have nothing to do with that shit.
No, that's true.
And so yeah, I think that's so like great that you're back in that. Like you've been there so many times in your life of like being disciplined and being at the gym, like you know you could do it.
Right.
But that's been something that, like, you know, your defensiveness towards that is something that I've thought about of like, well, hopefully we could work through that.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's there for a reason, you know?
And it's interesting, like looking, like also whenever I look at the next 5 years, and try to envision how things are going to go, you know, I think I'm just so excited because I am trying to focus on all of the small things, as I've mentioned, to try and instill discipline, because I know it's going to bleed out to the rest of my life. And, you know, something that you just said before made me think about it, but it's like, I've been up and down with my weight, right? Like I've been disciplined before. That's what it was. And I have been, but it's always been transient. It's always been temporary. It's like I'm disciplined for 6 months. I lose 30 pounds or whatever it might be. I've been fat and I've been like ripped in my life. And I want to get to a point now, I think, moving. I know. I want to get to a point where I'm just so well disciplined that it's now my life. You know, it's habitual. It's become who I am. All of the small things. For so long, I haven't been, or I have been for a short amount of time. But I want to get disciplined in my mind in all the small things, like forever. Because like we said, it is going to permeate all the rest of my parts of my life.
Yeah.
I'm gonna smash. I would smash the RNA school so much more if I were more disciplined in the small things. Nurse Bass, Stop the Ship, would grow exponentially if I was disciplined in the small things. If I made my bed every morning, if I woke up and brushed my teeth, if I did the shit I'm supposed to do. Not every day.
Damn.
No, being real. There's some shit that, you know, it's just small things that normal people do.
Yeah, but
that I don't do, that I lack for one reason or another, the way I was raised,
that's
things
where
that mattered or didn't matter in my childhood.
And, you know, because of where we were raised, like, we're also extremist in some ways. Like, it's so hard for us to find a balance. Either you're so disciplined and you're losing 30 pounds and you're not looking at a fucking carb, or you're overindulging in things that, like, you know, and it's so hard to find that middle ground. And it's because, like, we're fucking extremists, like, in that way, you know?
True.
And so that's the...
See, one day he won't have to do this, and you know, we'll have a guy like will run from the corner over there. He'll probably be like sweating trying to get over because of the kind of delay that it's causing. You know, and so sorry, sir. I'll have this fixed right away, sir. Somebody could lose their job for this kind of mishap, kind of thing. You know, not right now. I think it rolled over here. Like two or three people may have lost their job by this point. You know, and this is like what I'm talking about, the next 5 years kind of thing. Like, he won't be doing this 5 years from now. You know what I'm saying? 5 years from now, Peg won't even be having to edit these videos. I'll tell you another damn thing. We'll have some better mic arms by that point in time also.
Fuck yeah. But, yeah, like, that's something I've noticed in myself is, like, I'm fucking, you know, listening to McGregor, like, this is something that I've learned. He's like, you're either all in it or you're not in at all.
Yeah.
And that's what we are with a lot of things too. Like, cause I have that switch, and I know you have that switch to where, like, you know, I was like, for me, I was eating like shit, and then, like, you know, I find out that, like, my cholesterol is really bad, and then all of a sudden, like, I was able to just turn on that switch, and, like, you know, I didn't indulge in any of those things. When I would have never gotten there if I just had a cheeseburger once a month. You know.
So maybe the more important thing, at least for me anyway, and maybe for you also, if we're both extremists in that sense, is maybe, well, at least I know in myself before, whenever I've lost a lot of weight, I had abs, I achieved my fitness goals, complacency set in. And it's one of the things that I preached against for like the longest time on my Nurse Bass channel. It's like complacency is like the death of you. Idle hands are the devil's playground. It's another biblical thing, since I'm always throwing out Bible quotes.
Yeah, no, it's
but it's
very
true. Yeah, and so it's like, okay, maybe I know that I possess it within me to lose the weight, since we're going down the fitness route. I know I possess it within me to lose the weight, but once I get the goal achieved, how do I then maintain? How do I, like, okay, I finally did it, I'm just going to eat a cheeseburger. How do I, you know, maintain longevity? Yeah. Kind of thing. That's what I need in my life anyway. I need those kind of people around me, because that's what I'm about. I'm trying to grow professionally and personally, and so give me more of that.
Fuck yeah.
And that's what we're going to give you more of. I think we've been rambling long enough.
Yeah, I feel like I've been rambling about a lot of shit.
Yeah, so we'll leave you guys with that. More content to come, exciting things coming in 2020. One foot in front of the other, man. We're going to keep on growing, and I hope that you guys will continue to tune in as well.
And it's always a pleasure. And even if you take 2 steps back, let's take 3 steps forward, because those back steps are always going to come.
Es mi único rey.
See you next week.